Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on Millions.co. Here is my media. Well, here's my dashboard. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me. And here is my merchandise. We have new merchandise that is on sale right now, and we also have a new logo called Keys to the Road. So anytime you buy something on this platform, it will have the Keys to the Road emblem in the shirt, joggers, or whatever apparel that we advertise for that particular month. So now let's get to why everybody is here. We're going to talk about the NBA, and last night there were 3 games to watch in the NBA. Here is the NBA statistics after last night. Let me refresh it. Here's the NBA statistics after last night for the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. So now, the first game that I am going to cover is the 76ers and the Detroit Pistons. Now, this game was pretty much a blowout from the start because, as you can see, the 76ers have a 4 game. They are on a losing streak right now, and plus, when you get to the box score of this game and what everybody did as far as the 76ers, you can see why this is a blowout. Trenton Wartford, 4 points, 20 minutes. Justin Edwards, 12 points, 29 minutes. Dominic Barlow, 11 points, 26 minutes. Quentin Grimes, 14 minutes, 30, Quentin Grimes, 14 points, 32 minutes. VJ Edgecombe, 10 points, 29 minutes. Bench production, Marjon Beauchamp, 17 points, 31 minutes. Jabari Walker, 18 minutes, 16 points. Dalen Terry, 8 points, 23 minutes. Cameron Payne, 15 points, 19 minutes. Kyle Lowry, 0 points, 4 minutes. Tyrese Martin, 2 points, 9 minutes. Andre Drummond did not play, back spasms. Now, for the Detroit Pistons, still at the top of the East, but I am not going to say that they are the best team. They are going to have to beat the Celtics in a 7-game series before I can say that the Pistons are the best team in the East. Detroit Pistons, Tobias Harris, 15 points in 22 minutes. Duncan Robinson, 25 minutes, 19 points. Jalen Duren, 15 minutes, 14 points. And Marcus Sauser, 6 points, 23 minutes. Cade Cunningham, 28 minutes, 8 points. Bench production, Paul Reed, 6 points, 12 minutes. Isaiah Stewart, 13 minutes, 21 points. Ronald Holland II, 15 minutes, 25 points. Javonte Green, 17 points, 19 minutes. Kevin Huer, 12 points, 26 minutes. Chaz Lanier, 0 points, 5 minutes. Danish Jenkins, 6 points, 20 minutes. And here is the team statistics for the Philadelphia 76ers and the Detroit Pistons. And as you can see, it was pretty much, downhill for the Philadelphia 76ers before the game even ended. Now, one thing that I'm going to say, I'm going to get into the Philadelphia 76ers right now. Have you all noticed something when it comes to the 76ers? Maxey hasn't been playing. Tyrese Maxey hasn't been playing. He's been injured. Yeah, he's been injured. And we all know that Joel Embiid, he's been injured. See this? Tyrese Maxey, he is out. He was out on March 10th, and he's reportedly been out since then. Joel Embiid, oblique. He's had an oblique injury over the years, and his oblique is back being injured. He will be reevaluated in the next week or so. But one thing that I can say, and I've been saying this about the 76ers. 76ers coming into this season, I didn't have them high on anybody's list. And I'm actually surprised that the 76ers are at where they're at. They are ninth right now in the East, and I projected them not to even make it to the play-in tournament, coming into the season. But as of right now, they are in the thick of things when it comes to the play-in tournament. And we see where the 76ers, they could be facing the Atlanta Hawks, and I believe the Atlanta Hawks can get a play-in tournament win over the 76ers, because Atlanta Hawks, not too many people are noticing, but the Atlanta Hawks, they've won 8 straight games, and they've won 9 of their last 10. So you've won 8 straight, 9 of your last 10, and you only have 17 more games left in the regular season. And I do believe pretty much that Atlanta, they can pretty much make some noise for a team, to be a young team. Toronto Raptors, they are in the same predicament as the Atlanta Hawks. Young team, we didn't expect much from them coming into the season, but now we see where they are coming into their own. So when we get to the Detroit Pistons, what can they do? Can they get past the first round? That's all out. That's the one question that I'm going to ask everybody. Can the Detroit Pistons get past the first round? Well, let's see. Who can they possibly play in the first round? They could possibly play, let's see. The Detroit Pistons will possibly be playing either the Toronto Raptors or the Charlotte Hornets, and I believe that is going to be a tough series for Detroit no matter what, because Toronto and Charlotte, they both have young teams, and they both can ruffle some feathers. All of the teams that I just mentioned, the Pistons, the Raptors, and the Hornets, they can ruffle feathers. The Hawks, they can ruffle some feathers. 76ers, without a shadow of a doubt, if they are healthy, they can ruffle some feathers. But it all depends on, can they get everybody back? Can they get everybody back in time for the playoffs? And I don't think that is going to happen. I just don't. So one thing that I can say is, when it comes to the Detroit Pistons, they still have everything that's ahead of them. And as you can see, this was pretty much a blowout, and I'm just going to let y'all see maybe 5 or 6 highlights of this game, because it was pretty much a foregone conclusion at the end. Well, before the start of the fourth quarter. And as you can see, with a minute left, a slam dunk by the Pistons, and that was pretty much it. 131 to 109. So now let's get to the next game that is on this list, the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, one thing that I did not do last night, I didn't bet on any game. I didn't bet on any game that I'm covering, because I wanted to look I wanted to look at every game in its entirety without pulling for a team, which I know that would have been, I wouldn't have necessarily, looked at everything in its entirety, because we all know when it comes to someone placing a bet, they don't look at the game in its entirety. They always look at the game from their point of view, to the team that they want to win. But as of right now, this game, I was about to bet on this game, but then I said this game is pretty much a toss-up, because you got the Spurs, who really for the entire month of February, they didn't lose a game. And even if they did lose a game, it was just one. And then you have the Denver Nuggets, who have been, over the last 3 weeks, they've been slow since the All-Star break, and they needed a win like this, and they got it. So now you see Cameron Johnson, 15 points in 31 minutes. Spencer Jones, 19 points, 33 minutes. Nikola Jokic, 31 points in 39 minutes. Jamal Murray, 39 points in 40 minutes. I got to start calling Jamal Murray Flamethrower Murray, because when he starts getting hot, he can pull up from anywhere on the court and make those shots. That's why I call him Flamethrower Murray from deep. Flamethrower Murray from deep. Christian Braun, 11 points, 38 minutes. Bench production, Jonas Valanciunas, 4 points, 5 minutes. Tim Hardaway Jr., 1 point, 19 minutes. Tyus Jones, 0 points, 3 minutes. Bruce Brown, 6 points, 17 minutes. Julian Strawther, 10 points, 15 minutes. San Antonio Spurs, Julian Champagne, 8 points in 23 minutes. Luke Cornett had a big old goose egg in his time out there. Didn't even attempt a shot. 0 points in 25 minutes. De'Aaron Fox, 27 points in 36 minutes. Devin Vassell, 18 points in 32 minutes. Stephen Castle, 30 points in 35 minutes. Bench production, Harrison Barnes, 20 points in 27 minutes. Keldon Johnson, 5 points in 22 minutes. Carter Bryant, 10 points, 9 minutes. Mason Plumlee, 0 points in 8 minutes. Dylan Harper, 13 points in 24 minutes. Now, one thing that I want to say about this is there's a lot of records that fluctuate in the Western Conference, because coming into last night, you had the teams that were 4 through 6. They were all combined to have the same amount of wins. As you can see, the Lakers won last night, the Nuggets won last night, and the Rockets did not play last night. The Minnesota Timberwolves did not play last night. So you look at this and you see where the Western Conference is starting to shape up. You see where just a few weeks ago it seemed like that, as of right now, it seems like that the Lakers and the Nuggets, it seemed like that they were going to be playing each other in the play-in tournament. Now, that still can't, the Lakers seemed like they were going to be in the play-in tournament playing somebody that's in the top 6 seeds. But now, since the records have fluctuated and we see a lot of movement night after night in the NBA, we see the Lakers at 3 and we see the Denver Nuggets at 5. So the Nuggets would be playing the Rockets. The Lakers would be playing the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves knocked the Lakers out of the playoffs last season. So one thing that you can say, and also when it comes to the Spurs, now I'm not worried about the Spurs. I believe that the top 2 teams in the West, that is going to stay the same. The teams 3 to 10, that is going to fluctuate. within these next 4 to 5 weeks in the remainder of the regular season of the NBA, because it's just it's so much wriggle room for teams 3 through 10. Now, team 3, the Lakers from the Portland Trailblazers, that only separates them from 10 games. 10 games. And I'm really looking at teams 3 to 6, the Lakers to the Timberwolves, because they are only separated by a game and a half, at most 2.5 games. So the Wild Wild West, as I like to call it, it is very wild, and that is how the West has always been. When you look back to cowboy movies and you see the Western Conference as a whole, anybody can come out of the West. And as far as the East, it's pretty much, it's pretty much the same in the East. Not too much movement. Everything is still staying the same. Everything's still staying the same. So, all in all, for the Denver Nuggets and the Spurs, this was pretty much, the game that, we were expecting a close game, and we got a close game. But for people that did not look at the last 2 minutes of the game, I'm going to show y'all something. Here's the last 2 minutes of the game, where the Nuggets were up by, at this point in the game, the Nuggets were up by 5. Here is a 3 for the Spurs. Well, excuse me. The Spurs were down by 5. Now they're down by 3. Jamal Flamethrower Murray with a bucket. That was 2 of his 39 points. The Spurs came down the floor. De'Aaron Fox with 2 of his 23. And with the last 15 seconds of the ball game, this was critical, because the Nuggets, they needed to make both of their free throws, and they did, courtesy of Jamal Murray. Now, the Denver Nuggets are one of those teams that are experienced. The Spurs are one of those teams that are still relatively young and new to a playoff type atmosphere. And I'm pretty sure you are going to hear a lot of people say on ESPN, Fox Sports, or whatever sports news outlet you look at on the regular, a lot of people are going to say today that last night's game between the Nuggets and the Spurs felt like a playoff atmosphere. And it did. I can pretty much say that, because I honestly thought that the game was going to go into overtime. I really did. Now there was some plays down the stretch where the Spurs, they could have done better. There was some shot selection that was questionable. Although I'm not a coach, but me sitting back as a NBA spectator, I'm saying to myself, maybe you should have got to the basket and got fouled so you could slow the game down, because in the last 5 minutes, or excuse me, in the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter or overtime in the NBA, what do teams like to do? They like to slow the game down. Slow the game down and not make a play on the ball until it's 5 seconds remaining on the clock. So that is what happened in the Nuggets and Spurs game. But the biggest game of the night and the most watched game of the night, don't take my word for it. Just look at the ratings. Don't take my word for it. The biggest game of the night was possibly an NBA Finals preview. The Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. NBA Finals preview, I tell you, because as you can see, 102 to 104, it was pretty much, in today's standards of NBA scoring, this was pretty much a low scoring game. But it was a competitive game, and we like competitive games. We don't want to be covering blowouts. That's why it's like last night in the 76ers and the Pistons game, I pretty much wrote my story at the end of the third quarter because it was a blowout. But this game, I was on pins and needles looking at this game, because it seemed like with After every 5 minutes, I was changing up my storyline. I was saying, okay, Boston Celtics, they had efficient shooting, and Jaylen Brown had a good game, and Peyton Pritchard, he had a very efficient game from three. And then I was saying, I was like, okay, Oklahoma City, still, still the champions on the block, and they still haven't lost to either of these top teams multiple times. So we get to that point, and now we get to the scores from last night's game. Sam Hauser, 8 points in 27 minutes. Namis Quetta, 4 points in 27 minutes. Jaylen Brown, 34 points in 41 minutes. Peyton Pritchard, 14 points in 39 minutes. Baylor Shearman, 11 points in 34 minutes. Luke Garza, 7 points, 21 minutes. Ron Harper Jr., 5 points, 12 minutes. Jordan Walsh, 8 points, 13 minutes. Hugo Gonzalez, 11 points in 28 minutes. Amari Williams did not play because of coach's decision. Derek White did not play because of right knee contusion. Mac Shigula did not play because of coach's decision. And I know that there are a lot of people that were asking where was Jason Tatum last night. So Jason Tatum, he was out last night because of Achilles. Now, do I think that he ruptured his Achilles again? No, I don't think that, because this has only been his third or fourth game back, and I believe that they are going to rest him for the playoffs. See, this is what I was saying, have him on a minutes restriction of him playing only 20 to 25 minutes a game. Now we get to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City Thunder, Chet Holmgren, 14 points in 28 minutes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as I like to call him, SGA, or his nickname, Shea Butter, as people like to call him. He was butter last night. He has a super smooth, silky shot that goes right through the basket, and it's just pure. It's pure. 35 points in 39 minutes. Luke Garza, 6 points, 29 minutes. Cason Wallace, 31 minutes, 4 points. AJ Mitchell, 15 points in 30 minutes. Bench production, Jalen Williams, 9 points in 20 minutes. Alex Caruso, 7 points in 23 minutes. Isaiah Joe, 2 points, 13 minutes. Aaron Wiggins, 9 points in 15 minutes. Jared McCain, 12 minutes and 3 points. When we look at this game and we see the fact that the Boston Celtics, they still aren't at full strength, and they were able to keep the game close with the Thunder. Now, a lot of teams throughout the season, they haven't been at full strength against OKC, and somehow they get blown out. But against teams like Boston, Toronto, and teams like that, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they've always had problems against upper echelon teams, as I like to call them. Now we get to the point where, efficient-wise, on the floor last night, OKC shot 48% from the floor and 25% from the three-point line. And total turnovers, it was pretty much the same. Boston had one more turnover than the Oklahoma City Thunder. Points in the paint, plus 10 for the OKC Thunder. Largest lead in this game was 12 points for the Boston Celtics. And largest lead in this game for the Thunder was 7 points. Now, here is the last few minutes of this game where it was tied at 98. This is a good four-play highlight. Here's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, here's Jaylen Brown. He gets fouled. and he makes both free throws. So this entire game, everybody was on pins and needles. SGA, he gets to his spot and he makes it almost every time. Every time. Here is Jaylen Brown again, gets all the way to the basket, gets all the fakes, fires, and he makes it. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he passed it to Alex Caruso. Chet Holmgren got fouled. He made the two free throws and and I do mean a good attempt from Peyton Pritchard, but it did not go. And that, everybody, was what we saw last night in the NBA. We have a lot, and I do mean we have a lot of things that are starting to move in the NBA. And not just that, but next week, March Madness starts. And Selection Sunday for college basketball is this Sunday coming up. Tuesday is March Madness. Tuesday is March Madness. So, with that, those are my reactions from Thursday night in the NBA. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the key on millions.co. Here is my merchandise. Here's some new merchandise. We also have a new logo. So here's the new logo. Here is the merchandise. Again, as I just showed you, here is my profile so that you will know it's me. Here is my media feed so that you can look at all of my different segments, player interviews. I did a player interview yesterday with Orlando Thomas. He is a basketball phenom and he has aspirations of making it to the NBA one day. So, please remember, Keytime Sports on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, the key on millions.co. And remember, everybody, one last thing, the key is always on time.